We dedicated this week's episode to the world of spy movies, not just because we have a Soderbergh spy movie named Black Bag coming out, but because we had some giant news in the world of all spies. You see, Bond is no longer owned by the people who have had Bond forever. Instead, it was given to a Mr. Evil type mastermind himself in Jeff Bezos of Amazon. Yes, Amazon bought James Bond, all the rights to 007. It is going to become a Amazon IP,
and they bought
guess.
it for $1 billion.
And Mike Myers wrote this for SNL. It would get kicked to the curb is not believable, but it actually happened. And Amazon has Bond. Kellerman, are you a Bond guy?
I like Bond.
I mean, I love Bond. I bought all the DVDs when I was a kid. I've seen all of the movies over and over again. I tried to be like Sean Connery in Bond when I was growing up, which is not the right thing to do if you're a young boy watching at home. Not the best model to roll yourself after. I still loved it. I loved every single movie. Not a huge Daniel Craig guy, but Bond has brought me up.
I agree. I associate Bond with Thanksgiving, first of all.
Okay.
Because when I was a kid, it was always on TV. Like there'd always be a marathon of James Bond on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
So that's when I would see most of the James Bond movies back to back. And my relationship with James Bond is kind of love-hate, honestly. I think that some are, I think most people would agree that some are amazing and some are
not so
really
much.
bad.
Not so much. Alch, are you a Bond guy?
Big Bond guy.
Yeah.
Love Bond.
Yeah.
Bond's awesome. Pierce Brosnan is like who
Sure,
I
he's
wanted
our,
to be.
Awesome.
our Bond.
Brosnan,
when we were kids,
he's
obviously.
my Bond. He's the people's Bond. He's the best.
Awesome.
Look, Connery's great and all. It's Brosnan.
Roger Moore is also great.
Roger Moore is fine, and Dalton, not so. Timothy Dalton, not so much.
Brad Pierce is great.
I like Daniel Craig. I like the Bond. The films themselves, really, really good. But
Yeah,
Pierce
I
Brosnan's
agree.
my Bond.
Daniel Craig really won me over.
But regardless, this is a travesty for the Bond franchise. For sure.
Do you think so?
I do, because Amazon is not just didn't spend $1 billion to make one movie every 5 years.
No. Well, that might be a good thing.
You think we're
going
to
to
get oversaturated with Bond
I think
now?
we're about to get the Marvel universe of Bond, and it's going to be a nightmare.
Well, Bond fans would probably think that's awesome.
I don't think so.
Well,
There's
I
been a
don't
huge
think so.
slowdown in Bond movies. There used to be a Bond movie like every year or
There
every
was
other
a
year.
huge slowdown, and I believe it's a good thing that the Bond franchise is no longer in the hands of who had it, because there was something going on where they didn't want to move on from Daniel Craig. They killed off Daniel Craig, and they still didn't want to move off of Daniel
they
Craig
gave him a
as James
family
Bond.
first. It made no sense.
Don't get me into it. But it was time for Bond to move forward, especially into this new world where the old swashbuckling Bond probably isn't great for this new world of cinema. But Amazon buying it now, I think, is the exact opposite end. I'm with you on that. The exact opposite end of where I think we should be with it. I don't want to see a Moneypenny TV series. I don't want to see a how
That already
Bond
exists, I think.
No, but I don't want to see how Bond came up to be in the James Bond universe.
That
I just want
already
Bond
exists.
movies. No, it's not.
We have Bond Jr. Bond Jr. exists.
No, I don't want to have the Mandalorian in the world of James Bond. I don't want to have the book of Boba Fett or whatever those was called in the world of James Bond. I just want Bond movies. Every 2 to 3 years, give me a Bond movie. Give me a new Bond. Give me a female Bond. I don't care. Take Bond into the direction I want it to go and release stuff in theaters. That's the other thing. Are we ever going to see a Bond movie in theaters again? Or is this just going to be an Amazon Prime Bond now? Because that right there is a tragedy.
Well, look, if they released Red 1 for a month before,
for sure.
before it going direct to Amazon, like they're probably still they're still going to go to the theaters. They're still going to make money, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's also just going to be a lot more offshoots of the cinematic.
I feel like you guys are making
experience.
a lot of assumptions here.
I am.
Because I first
course
of
I
all,
am.
they could, not saying that they will, but they could respect the property enough
That
to
feels like something Jeff
only
Bezos would do.
release a movie every couple of years.
Let me
Make
ask
sure
you
it's
this.
good. Well, it could be like a prize IP, and they could really take care of it
but can I
and
ask-
be careful with it and not do that. Or
Can I ask you this? You're a big Lord of the Rings guy. Did they take care of that IP with what they made?
absolutely not. That's a great example of them not doing the right thing. But
Fallout's very good. Like IP-based stuff, they've done well before.
They have.
I don't think this is going to fall in that category. This is how can we make as much money as possible for our TV revenue.
Okay, but also James Bond is like a really untapped
Reservoir, absolutely.
There's not a bunch of James Bond toys or anything like that.
I get that. I'm fine with little kids having James Bond toys.
I had James Bond toys when I was a kid. We had James Bond Jr. was on when I was a kid.
Again, I don't want the Star Wars Marvel effect of, I don't want a bunch of what if series on James Bond. I want a James Bond movie. Give me a James Bond movie. Cast your new James Bond and give me a James Bond movie that isn't just made for Prime Video streaming. Give me an actual movie, please, for the love of God.
All right, hold on. I don't want to get too woke on you right now, but I feel like...
Please do.
I feel like what you're saying now is that you just want James Bond to stay James Bond.
No, I want the James Bond movie to stay a James Bond movie. That big thing that you need to go see in a theater, like James Bond, as you said, it was special.
But some people might connect with Moneypenny.
Fully understand that. I'm not saying keep James Bond, make James Bond great again. No, I just want James Bond to be an actual movie event that happens. We haven't had one in a long time, and the past few movies have been pretty poor. Spectre was great.
I completely disagree.
You like the last movie with Rami Malek?
I didn't like the last one.
And it's been 10 years since we've had one before that.
Gosh, was it really that long?
No, it's been a effing long time, though.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Look, the point is...
But they are big event movies. I think they'll continue being big event movies. Obviously, I wouldn't be too surprised if Amazon mined the IP a little bit or a lot of it. But
I think the biggest problem I have is it's not Amazon's... creative executives or creative producers.
They have creatives at Amazon?
They do, apparently, who were like, you know what, this is a good property for us to go after. This was Jeff Bezos going, get me this property, here's a blank check. And to me, that means he's going to utilize it to the nth degree. And I think it's gonna be a travesty, and we're gonna see a Marvel Cinematic Universe in the Bond experience, and that you heard it here first. I really believe that's what's gonna happen.
Very quickly, who are your top 3 Bonds in order?
Ooh,
who?
Who are your top 3 Bonds in order?
Brosnan.
Number 1?
yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then probably Connery, and then. Daniel Craig.
You like Daniel Craig? I like Daniel Craig the person. I don't like the style of that Bond. I like to be the more old
totally
school Bond.
understand.
Connery is one for me, and you cannot even touch Connery. I love Pierce. I'd put him 2, and I thought that'd be shocking to you too.
No,
I'm putting Roger Moore number 3.
Oh please, Roger Moore.
He's so funny.
Yeah, he's
so
in the goofy
funny.
ones.
He's the goofy ones, but those are the worst movies.
Well, it's not all of them. Not all of them are the worst.
Those are the worst.
Some of those are some of my favorites.
You take Daniel Craig over goofy Roger Moore?
100%.
Yeah, it's not
I'd even
for me.
take him over Connery.
I'm going depends on the movie.
Over Connery. My order is Brosnan, Daniel Craig,
Wow,
Connery.
That's terrible. That's the worst list I've ever heard. That is the worst
is
list
it?
I've ever heard.
Weigh in, court of public opinion. We'll find out.
What's your favorite Bond movie then?
Oh, well, this is unfair. GoldenEye.
Oh, whoa! Who knew?
That's unfair.
Why? Because you played the game on N64
Yes.
until
Is
it
that
broke?
everybody's
Like me?
favorite?
And it came out
Bond
as
movie?
the perfect time for me growing up. It had all those great actors in it. It made me fall in love with all of them. I mean, I was introduced to all these great actors from that movie and then learned about them through other movies. GoldenEye's number 1. Xena
Villainous
on top.
Ned
Come on.
Stark in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
my God.
good.
Oh.
I mean, is it also the best video game of all time? I think it might be. GoldenEye's
It's a
so
contender
good.
for sure.
GoldenEye's
So
great.
good.
GoldenEye's
Getting
great.
the golden gun was like the greatest moment of my life.